Everybody's making content these days. You don't have to have any journalism experience. You don't have to have any experience at all to be an analyst in this business. And all these Mickey Mouse people calling Shedeur Sanders a bust. Oh, he ball patched the ball. Did you see? We came up with something that no one ever noticed. We went through all the FBS year after year game film, and he pats the ball when he throws. He's done. He's cooked. These Mickey Mouse clowns out there talking about Shedeur, trying to tear him down, constantly wanting to fail. Everybody's wanting him to fail. Well, I've got news for you. He's not going to fail. Not only will he not fail, he will be great. File on in. The Fantasy Football Show begins now.
From the FantasyFootballShow.com studios,
It's the Fantasy Football Show. Live!
Monday through Friday.
8 p.m. Eastern. Smitty is also live whenever news breaks.
Double tap that like button on the way in the door as we talk about these clowns talking about Shedeur Sanders gonna bust. He pats the ball. Oh my God, no one saw this before. Did someone tell my Aunt Edna so she doesn't draft him in our fantasy league? This guy's gonna be garbage. Look what Darius Slayton said. I promise he can pat the ball and be just fine. If DBs was so good at breaking on ball pats, they'd all have 8+ picks this year. Ball patting, what a joke. Look, there's a couple DBs that came after him. Hey, better not pat that ball or he's going to throw a pick 6 in the NFL. He is going to be an unbelievable quarterback. I truly believe that. And if his performance on the field yesterday didn't prove anything to you, then I don't know what can. To be honest, you're built in, your hate is built in, your doubt is built in. And the bottom line is this. He's going to be likely going in the top 3 overall is my projection. For those doubters out there, this man was first in completion percentage. Don't tell me he's not accurate. If you say Shedeur's not accurate, you don't know football. Or you're regurgitating something you heard from somebody and you don't know college football. Second in passing touchdowns, 37. Fourth in yardage, 41-34. Comes out of college as the clear number 2 QB. Now, I will say I love Milroe quite a bit. You know, if Milroe landed in a great spot to start, which he probably won't. But if you went to like the Raiders or Seahawks, he could be something special on the bench and ferment for a while and jump up. But the fact that anybody thinks this kid can't throw, he has no accuracy, you don't know ball. It's okay. It's okay. At least you don't know college football. At least you don't know what you're talking about in this instance. And that's fine. That's why this show's here for you. To teach you what players to attack, what players are getting doubted. This is not the next JD5, but he's certainly somebody that can live inside the 6 to 10. He's certainly somebody that could live inside the 6 to 10. Now, this is my prediction as to how it's all going to land and shake out. Cam Ward going number 1, pretty much a lock at this point. Hunter, the good thing about Sanders not going to Cleveland, I don't want him to go to Cleveland. I want him to go to Dable and Malik Neighbors, which puts him on the map, which puts him in positioning to absolutely smash. To have the quarterback coaching he needs, the cultivation, to have the wide receiver, to get handed the next Justin Jefferson, to get handed the next Jamar Chase and Malik Neighbors. This is a glorious win-win situation, and he becomes a marvel in New York. And New York finally gets that quarterback that they've been searching for a handful of years. Now, you might think, okay, well, what if Sanders, goes to Cleveland? I don't think he will, because I think Travis Hunter upped his stock so much over the past couple of days that the Cleveland Browns aren't going to mess around with any sort of quarterback situation right now. They're still paying a lot of money for Deshaun Watson, who will probably never play another snap for the National or for the Cleveland Browns. And we'll see if he ever starts in the National Football League again. But I think that they're scared Scotties right now when it comes to the quarterback situation. Now, Deion is Shedeur's dad, has gone back and forth on whether he wants Shedeur to play for Cleveland or whether he's pissed off about Cleveland being an idea. And then one moment it's like, I hope he doesn't go there. The next minute he says he'll be a top 2 pick and that he thinks that either Hunter or Shedeur will be a Brown. And that's kind of condoning the situation. But I think that with Hunter being a can't miss prospect on 2 levels, DB, top DB in the class, wide receiver, top wide receiver in the class. Either way, the Browns they've never felt more safe. The Browns, who have been scared to death, have never felt more safe about a decision than Travis Hunter. Not only do they feel it's a good pick, but the rest of the NFL will. And I think that that's important to them because they're scared Scotties right now. They're looking for the exact right answer. They're not looking for a chance right now. And Shedeur looks like a risky pick to a lot of people in the top 3. Not to me, but to the Browns, they're going to look at it this way. Not to mention you don't really have the support to make him as good as he could be in New York. Shedeur in Cleveland's pretty good, though. I think Cleveland defense, Judy, you got a lot there to like. And you could draft, let's say, a Scattaboo in round 2, and all of a sudden I love this Cleveland Browns team for the 2025 season, let alone the future. So it's not a devastating move if he goes to Cleveland. I think if Shedeur went to Tennessee, I wouldn't like it at all. And as much as I do like Cam Ward, I think Shedeur in Cleveland is slightly better producing than Cam Ward, at least as a rookie. And Shedeur in New York crushes Cam Ward in Tennessee as a rookie. Not saying Ward doesn't climb up, not saying the Titans don't build around him properly, but Shedeur going to the Giants is a glorious outcome that produces amazing stats for neighbors and the New York Giants. And I think he thrives in that culture. I think they want that type of quarterback. I think the Giants need this type of quarterback. I know a lot of people think that bringing in a QB after signing Winston and Russell Wilson sounds like a mistake or a misuse of a misappropriation of funds, but it's not, because the combined total of these two gentlemen, Russell Wilson and Winston, is not even, it's barely starter money. You know, the combined money of the two is barely starter money. So no one's worried about drafting Sanders on top of those two players. And you got good backup depth if anything happens. And you could slow roll Sanders out if you wanted to and throw Russell out there. I wouldn't do that. If I'm taking a guy at 3, I'm starting him. This is not your dad's NFL anymore. If you get picked in the top 10 overall as a quarterback, you better damn well start, or the team that drafted you has some weird circumstance, and I don't even know if you can still condone it. You should be starting somebody if you're drafting them number 3 overall. Okay? So you got this kid that's first in completion percentage, second in passing touchdowns, fourth in yards with 41-34, and a bunch of Mickey Mouse analysts out there telling you he's not accurate. He can't throw the deep ball. What a crock. Who's listening to these people? Who's listening to these people? He can't throw a deep ball? What is wrong with you? Why would you listen to somebody that says something without any evidence at all? Go watch film. Go watch the workout he just threw down, where he was 58 of, I think, 61. It was somewhere around there. 3 balls hit the ground, and all 3 were considered by pretty much everybody, 2 for sure, but all 3 were considered drops. This man went pretty much 60 for 60 in his workout in the Colorado Showcase. And you got the nerve to say he can't throw a deep ball? You got the actual gall to say he can't throw a deep ball? You're just embarrassing yourself putting that on the screen. Straight up. This guy went 60 for 60 practically if you don't include those 3 drops. And you're telling me this guy went out through 60 balls, none hit the ground? What are you listening to? Who's telling you this? Because you're regurgitating it. You can't possibly think this on your own. Sanders is going to be a steal. And the where he goes obviously determines a lot of his value, at least initially. Just like Cam Ward, I like Cam Ward a lot. He's a great quarterback prospect. but he goes to Tennessee. It's not a very good situation. It's going to take him a little time. This ain't going to be his, rookie year breakout monster. This guy's JD5. It's not going to happen. This is going to be maybe the Bryce Young track. Rough year 1. Some people wonder. Year 2. Oh, wait. Okay, this looks pretty good. That's the kind of Cam Ward track he's going to be on in Tennessee. Can't wait for the doubters. Can't wait for the people to circle back in here. Or actually, they won't. They'll just run for the shadows like they did with the JD5 stuff. You know how many JD5 doubters we had in here? He'll break. He's too small. He's not accurate. He's not good in the pocket. All this crap, and we kept saying to everyone, you will be sorry for your comments you're making on JD5. Where are any of those individuals right now? I'll tell you where. Nowhere. They're either hiding right now, pretending they weren't one of those individuals, but they will never come back and admit they were wrong. Shedeur is not JD5. He's not. JD5 is once in a lifetime. And how do I know that? Because we predict.
Let him cook.
We told you. That's how we know. He's once in a lifetime. That's how we know. We predicted it. We told you. You get us coffee. This guy comes from the pedigree of Shedeur Sanders. This guy who pats the ball. Oh, do you see him pat the ball? You see him pat the ball? He's such a pity patter. Little pity pat on the ball. Oh, he's going to tell DBs what he's doing. He's going to get picked off. Oh. Ah. CJ Stroud was once in a lifetime. Then he failed year 2, says Joel. Okay, Joel. And then Joel, you don't know what you're talking about, because I've never said CJ Stroud was what I said JD5 would be. So you're in here just making up stuff. You don't even know what you're talking about. Just running your mouth as if you can draw a conclusion about what I'm saying, about what I predicted. Thinking that you can say that I like Stroud more than I like JD5. You don't know what you're talking about. Unfortunately, you just don't. You're putting your foot in your mouth. And I'm embarrassed for you. I'm embarrassed. You know when someone does something, you're embarrassed by association? I'm embarrassed right now for you, pal. Go get one. Go get one. Bring it back. I want it nice and warm. Can you imagine coming into my live stream and telling me something about CJ Stroud in relation to JD5, in relation to all these other predictions? And can you imagine trying to assume that tying Stroud and his success to Shedeur is some sort of mathematical science? Yeah, if you look at Stroud, it means that Sanders will fail. If you look at Stroud, it means he'll fail. That's basically what the science says. The science says it. The flux capacitor told me that if Stroud failed, well, that means that Sanders has to fail. If MHJ was a bad top 13, 14 overall pick, we shouldn't take Genty at 13 or 14 overall because they're correlated. One has to do with the other. Oh, boy. It's going to be a fun year watching this man, Shedeur, just get hated on. I don't know what it is. I think some of it is his loudmouth dad that makes people hate on him. And I think I think that's part of it, but he seems a little arrogant to people, and even a couple teams said that, in that he seemed arrogant. But I don't think he feels arrogant. And I've watched a lot of interviews. I've watched a lot of him talking. He carries himself very well. I think that, this is a kid that you hear tons of other comments. You might hear somebody say he's arrogant, and a lot of people just repeat it. But have you noticed a lot of arrogance from him? Just because he says things like, yeah, and he smiles and kind of laughs, has got some confidence, you take it as arrogance. He's a really well-mannered kid. And there's reports about him, this story about him in the limousine where the driver was overhearing everything he was doing, and Shedeur had no idea the guy was eavesdropping. And the reports came back that he was just such a professional person the entire ride, calming all these people down. Just, he was the disciplinarian. He was the guy that has head on straight. There's all these other, stories about people watching him carry himself. And I just don't get why everybody wants to hate him. I don't understand why people want to hate him. He seems very, very well-mannered. He seems very intelligent. He's very well-spoken. He's very articulate. He's very clear. These are all things you want from a commander-in-chief that goes into the huddle and is trying to command men. Trying to command men into battle, and you want someone that is calm, composed, clear, but confident, comes off cocky and arrogant because he's a quarterback and he's commanding men. Do you want a guy in there that's soft-spoken? It doesn't say blue 32 hatchback left. I don't care what the coach said. We're changing the play, and we're scoring a touchdown. Neighbors on 3. 1, 2, 3, Neighbors. Here you go. Take it. Neighbors takes it in touchdown. That's his 12th of the year. Boom. What do you want? What do you want from this kid? You want him to fail? Why does everybody want him to fail so bad? I don't get it. You have no evidence. Guys like Joel and whoever the hell's chirping in the chat, they got no evidence. He's not a very accurate deep ball passer. Okay. Why do you look so great the other day? Why is he the number 1 completion percentage quarterback in the league? Are you going to start chirping about something else like, well, he always checks down? That's the next thing I hear. He checks down too much. Of course he's the number 1 completion percentage player in college football. Number 1 in completion percentage. Number 1. Number 2 in yards. Number 4 in yards. Number 2 in touchdowns. Don't come in here like Joel and say something ridiculous that he can't back up. It just looks silly. Don't come in here and say, well, he's number 1 in completion percentage because he's 4th in yards. Okay, if this is a problem, if he's checking down too much, short passes, why is he 4th in yards? Why is he 2nd in touchdowns? Explain to me, Joel. Explain to me. Who wants to explain this? He won't command ever. Joel, you don't know ball. You just don't. You're making yourself look embarrassed for everybody else. We're all embarrassed for you, Joel. Stop it. You don't have evidence. You don't even have evidence. You literally just said he's not a good downfield thrower. Why is he leading? Why is he top 4, number 1 in completion percentage, top 4 in these 3 categories, the most important categories? Why, Joel? How? How is he bad? How did he prove he was bad in college football? Joel, because you don't know. You don't know. You just don't know, do you? I can't wait for this to unfold. I just can't wait. And I do hope that he does go to this New York Giant football team that is set up the best for him to produce. Mickey Mouse. God, Joel really doesn't know football, does he? He played Mickey Mouse competition. Oh my God. That's embarrassing. Wow. All right, 2 phone calls, then I got to go, and then we'll be back.
Call into the show. Call into the show.
You know what's sad about people that just love to hate, and they don't even know what they're saying. They watch a couple other podcasts. They just come in and they start repeating things. You know how I know? First of all, I've got a ability for pattern recognition more than the average bear. Let me just put it that way. And not to mention the psych degree, not to mention the other things that we add to the tool belt of analysis of human beings, of football, of life. And the thing that I notice very, very quickly is when someone's regurgitating something that they've heard. Because why? Pattern recognition. I hear the same phrase twisted just a little bit, 8 different ways in DMs. And when I read something and then I hear something, then I read something, I know it's coming from the same place. You watch something where someone said something on a podcast and you're just repeating it, and you don't really know yourself. You're just repeating what you heard, and it's wild. It's absolutely wild. Rock Out, you're live. What can I do for you? Rock Out. Go ahead, Rock Out. Okay. I guess no one's ready. Dial in, dial in. Phone line's open. 2 calls.
Call into the show. Call into the show.
All right, Rock Out, you're live. Go ahead, Rock Out.
Yeah, as far as Sanders goes, I think he's a good, accurate quarterback, but depending on spot, he needs like a ideal spot. He can't be with the tight ends. I think Cam Ward could overcome it a little bit better than Sanders, but if he's in the right spot, in the right situation, he'll ball.
Yeah. Hey, I see you got Mario and Hampton at 10 for the Bears. I'm a Bears fan. I think they need an RB, but give me some feedback.
All right, hang tight real quickly. Rock Out's still talking, but hold on. Go ahead, Rock Out. You're finishing what you're saying.
Yeah, like far as Sanders goes, I think he got to be in like the ideal situation versus Ward, just because his athleticism, he can overcome it a little bit better than Sanders in Tennessee. But I don't want either.
The good news though, Rock Out, is that Sanders is more than likely, the spots that need quarterbacks. We're talking. I mean, the Saints could be iffy, but if he goes somewhere like Cleveland or New York, then if not, then it could get a little wild to where like the Saints take him or something. But I think he's probably going to an elite spot to start, and I don't know how he slips past New York at this moment in time. Having the workout that he had, it just feels like a lock to me. But strange things have happened. If Cleveland didn't take Hunter for some reason, which I think they will, I really think they're not going to miss the boat on this one. They're just not. It's too easy. It's too clear. Then Sanders, if Hunter were available, then New York could take Hunter. I think that would throw it all off. But this is going to be a great situation. I think the Steelers could get aggressive if for any reason Sanders slips through the 3 pick and we start trickling down to where these teams don't need quarterbacks. You could see like Pittsburgh get crazy. You could see, I could see a couple other teams getting a little bit wild. But there are few starting jobs in the National Football League right now, so it could get dicey if the wrong thing plays out. No doubt about it. But right now, in my mind, Cleveland and New York are pretty damn safe for landing spots. Not to mention, if let's say Cleveland went Hunter and New York didn't go Sanders, it's not crazy to think that a team like New York or Cleveland would then trade up again from the second to get Sanders if he was falling. But anyway, all right, let me go back over. Rock Out, appreciate you. I don't have much time, so I'm going to end the call here with you. I'm going to answer this other question, and then I'm out of here, and then we'll be back later. So Rock Out, calling tonight. Appreciate you, bro.
All right, cool.
All right, and then this 305 caller about Hampton. What's your name, bro? Where are you calling from?
Yeah, D for Miami. I'm a Bears fan. I think the Bears definitely could use an offensive weapon like an RB. I don't think Genty will drop down, but I'm curious to see why you got Hampton at 10. Just value your opinion, brother.
Yeah, I mean, the thing about it, bro, is that, Ben Johnson, the Lions, taking Gibbs way earlier than people expected. Hampton's climbing up boards, and I will have a Hampton video tonight on this very, very topic. There's some breaking news a little bit earlier today in regards to Hampton flying up draft boards like every day, and that there's some thought, which is what we've been saying for a month now, thought that we're going to see a repeat of the Jahmyr Gibbs-Bijan situation where the top 2 running backs go so much higher than anybody anticipates. And if Genty goes 6, then Ben Johnson's going to be forced to look, because they've addressed the offensive line through free agency. They've literally telegraphed what they're doing. They're going after Genty. But Genty's since had some tremendous value climbing going on. And so Hampton, unless the Bears trade up to 5 with the Jaguars, Hampton is probably going to be their best option. because the Jaguars, if they could move up to this pick and leapfrog the Raiders, they could get him. But I think the Raiders are going to take Genty. If they don't, I could see him falling. The Saints are very aggressively looking into Genty, talking to Genty. Genty's been very vocal and positive toward the Saints. He met with the Saints running back coach. He's very, very into the New Orleans Saints landing spot. So even if, let's say, for whatever reason, Genty doesn't go 6, I believe he goes 9. So Hampton is the best option for the Bears, given they've already addressed the offensive line. You know, they could go defense, but they're not going to go defense here. And while they could still draft offensive line here, they don't necessarily need it right now. Hampton makes the most sense. And it falls in line with Ben Johnson's plans, what he's doing. He's paving the way. It's telegraphed. We know that he's set up to take Genty. This is going to be his move, I think. I wouldn't be shocked if they traded down, if they thought they could get him a few picks later. Wouldn't be crazy to think they'd go after like a Trey Henderson later in the middle of the first round, but I think he's going to take Hampton. And I wouldn't be shocked if he took a Caleb Johnson as well to have his Monty and Jahmyr Gibbs. Maybe he has 2 rookie running backs from this draft class. But Hampton at 10 is not crazy. Mark my words, Hampton's climbing into the top 15.
Appreciate you, Smitty. Bear down. Let's go.
Let's not get that crazy. But yeah, all right. Appreciate you, bro. Good luck to your Bears this year. All right. I'm out of here. I'll be back later tonight. Appreciate you all. We're going to be live on Hampton tonight. See you all later. Deuce. Shedeur to the moon. Neighbors to the moon. Neighbors season in full effect.
Yeah.
Won't you be my neighbor?
In a distant galaxy far away, a planet called Neighboron had an extinction-level event which caused utter collapse. One pod escaped containing a young boy, the last of his kind, drifting off course after an asteroid shower encounter. The pod found its way into Earth's orbit and crash-landed on a small farm.
I've really stuck to my guns on this. Shedeur going to the Giants at 3, even with this video.
Boy lived a normal and hidden life, until his powers became evident and his mission and purpose became clear.
How old is this video? You know what I'm saying?
His name was to be Neighbors after his home planet. He would comb the Earth looking to save all that needed his help. At first, Neighbors was keeping up with all who needed his help, but he couldn't do it alone. He needed a sidekick to truly become invincible and turn into a supernova.
And with the 3rd overall pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the New York Giants select.
I forgot these super chats. I'm sorry, guys. Very, very good point. My super chatters are all here. I'm sorry. Navage says 0.5 Superflex Puka, 1.6, 2.6, 26 first for Lamb and McBride. Puka, 1.6, 2.6, 26 first. Yeah, take Lamb and McBride and run. Yeah, easy call. My question with the Giants drafting Sanders, doesn't this coaching staff need to win now? Wouldn't it be better to serve them Hunter or Genty? I mean, Genty would be great BBQ for sure, but I think it's, you know, and I'm not yelling at you about this. I'm just saying I do think it's a little strange that people think that you can't win with the rookie QB. Like, you can. Like, your job is on the line. Also, BBQ, think of it from this perspective. When you draft a rookie QB and he shows a lot of promise, you reset the timer. You buy yourself another year. If you draft Shedeur Sanders and he shows tremendous promise and everybody's like, next year is going to be awesome. This is a great little rookie year. Some bumps in the road, lost a lot of close games. But, man, I'm excited. You buy yourself an extra year. It's probably the best way to extend your life as a head coach and GM, to be honest, BBQ. It's the exact opposite of what you're saying. If it goes well, if the player's obviously a good prospect. But you can still win. You know, drafting Genty or Hunter, that might not help them win games. Sanders is going to help them at least appear to be ready to rumble and stumble. We got a $20 hauler from BBQ coming in like fire with the $20 wad on screen, my boy.
Alert. Super chat alert.
BBQ says, watch Sanders last year. Sanders is very accurate, nice touch on the ball, reads the defense as well. High football IQ and football pedigree. He's not an elite athlete, but he took a beating at times, has that it factor. And keep in mind, again, though, how many times do we come out of a draft, NFL draft and prospecting saying he's not an elite talent? You know, like Bucky wasn't profiling as an elite talent. He's an elite talent. So Sanders may not be a elite looking talent to some as a prospect, but there's certainly the ability to become elite for anybody once they hit the National Football League stage. So just keep that in mind. There's no way anybody should be drawing a conclusion that he can't become an elite talent. He could become an elite talent. If Bucky can be elite when he's a good prospect, it's an example. If Kurt Warner can go undrafted, if Tom Brady was an elite prospect coming out of college and he became the greatest quarterback of all time. So let's just pump the brakes on assuming he's not going to be an elite talent. Where do Ward, Sanders rank versus the 2024 class? Great question. I think both are right around where Nix and Penix Jr. And obviously I just like Caleb way more than the average Bear, but some people might put Caleb right there. I think that, you know, JD5 is head and shoulders above everyone else. I'd rank Bo Nix ahead of Ward and Sanders, but I think Ward and Sanders still have time to prove that they can be just as good. Remember, Bo Nix was doubted like crazy. So, you know, it depends how you ask the question. Right now, Nix is ahead of him. But if you were to go back in time and try and spot, you know, place these guys with that class as prospects, I think they'd be right around Nix. Maybe Cam would be above Nix. Sanders would be below Nix or right with him. And Penix Jr. might even still be below those guys, even though Penix Jr., we liked him better, and he's going to prove to be way better than that. But I think that's where they prospect. Now, knowing what we know about Bo Nix, and you're trying to slot them like under there, yeah, Nix should be above him. But it depends how you ask the question, because you could answer it from a couple different perspectives. Any chance New York passes? I'm hoping he slides to number 9. I know everybody wants wrong button. I know everybody wants him to go to the Saints or to a different location. I think Sanders to the Saints would definitely, like, that's the safety net. So like Rockout was saying earlier, like he needs to go to a good spot. Well, the Saints are still pretty good. It's a good spot for Sanders. I don't think it's a good place for players to go when there's no quarterback. So when people say, "Oh, what about Hunter going to the Saints?" or "What about, you know, this guy going to the Saints?" The only players I want to go to the Saints would be Genty, and not my first choice, but I'd be okay with that because the running back thrives in New Orleans. It always has. So I'm fine with Genty as a New Orleans Saint. I'm not wanting a wide receiver there. I'm not wanting a tight end there. I don't want somebody to get traded there. But if they get Sanders, they can change the culture and make it an attractive place for future prospects and players to go via trade. So I don't mind the Saints, but I do believe that Sanders to New York is light years ahead of all the other landing spots for sure. Thank you for the super chat. And the final super chat, I'm sorry about the delay on answering these. We were ranting and raving. I see Hampton to Chicago. I'm a Bears fan, and I think they need a running back, but Hampton at 10. Please elaborate. I think that was the caller that called in on this one. I like the value, but your opinion. Yeah, so I explained that in tremendous detail. Thank you for calling in as well. But, I mean, look, it's a predicting game, and we don't know what's going to happen. And we can only say that we know that Ben Johnson, a part of that Detroit Lions, taking Gibbs way too early situation is going to maybe play out the same way. And we're going to go live on it tonight. Hampton live stream, Hampton climbing NFL draft boards. That show is going to be tonight. Appreciate all of you. I'll see you all tonight on that live stream. Make sure your notifications are turned on. Subscribe if you're new and hit that like button. Smash the like button on the way out the door. We got how many people in here? Over 70 to 100 people from YouTube, more on X. Hit that like button on the way out the door. We only have 42 thumbs up, so smash it. Drop a deuce on the like button. Thank you for the super chats. Thank you, Navage. Thank you, BBQ. Thank you, BBQ. Thank you, Space Ricky. Thank you, Dragon. Thank you, Trick Daddy. Appreciate you all.